has the Iran war entered a new phase? Just weeks after intense military strikes, diplomatic negotiations are now taking center stage. But behind the scenes, major disagreements remain unresolved, tensions are still high, and world leaders are racing against time to prevent another escalation. Welcome back. Today we're breaking down the latest developments in the U.S. Iran conflict, the future of Iran's nuclear program, the growing political battle in Washington, and why the next 60 days could determine whether peace holds or falls apart. The biggest development comes from the International Atomic Energy Agency, the United Nations watchdog responsible for monitoring nuclear activity worldwide. Its director, Rafael Grossi, confirmed that international inspectors will eventually return to Iran's nuclear facilities. However, he emphasized that the exact timing is not critical right now. That statement follows conflicting messages from Washington and Tehran. Iranian officials insist that inspections of sensitive nuclear sites will only be finalized as part of a comprehensive long-term agreement with the United States. They have also made clear that facilities previously targeted during military operations will remain off-limits until broader negotiations are completed. At the center of the diplomatic effort is a recently signed memorandum of understanding between President Donald Trump and Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian. The agreement launched a 60-day negotiation period designed to create a permanent framework for ending hostilities and addressing concerns surrounding Iran's nuclear activities. But while American officials view the agreement as a path toward stability, some Iranian leaders are presenting it very differently. Iran's chief negotiator publicly described the agreement as a declaration of America's defeat, arguing that Iran's position at the negotiating table reflects national strength rather than international pressure. Those comments highlight the deep political divide that still exists despite the diplomatic breakthrough. Meanwhile, Secretary of State Marco Rubio is traveling across the Persian Gulf region, meeting with key allies and discussing the framework of the agreement. One issue receiving particular attention is the Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's most important energy shipping routes. Rubio stressed that no nation should be allowed to impose tolls or fees on international waterways, reinforcing long-standing U.S. policy. Back in Washington, the conflict has sparked an unexpected political debate. In a rare bipartisan move, the U.S. Senate approved a resolution directing President Trump to remove American forces from hostilities involving Iran unless Congress formally authorizes military action. Although the measure is largely symbolic and does not carry the force of law, it represents one of the most significant congressional responses to the conflict so far. Public reaction remains deeply divided. Some Americans believe strong military pressure forced Iran back to negotiations. Others argue that diplomacy should have been prioritized from the beginning to avoid the risks of wider conflict. Adding another layer to the story, President Trump has also turned his attention to rising fuel costs. After oil prices surged during the conflict and then dropped following the ceasefire agreement, Trump accused major oil companies of not lowering gasoline prices quickly enough. He announced that the Department of Justice would investigate potential price gouging at the pump. For many families already struggling with high living costs, the issue hits close to home. As negotiations continue, the world is watching closely. Will nuclear inspections move forward? Can a lasting agreement be reached? And will this fragile peace survive political pressure on both sides? The answers may emerge over the next 2 months. Until then, the future of U.S. Iran relations remains uncertain, and the stakes could not be higher. Because in international diplomacy, peace is never guaranteed, it must be negotiated, protected, and sustained every single day.